Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a room full of noise, arguments, opinions, ego, and suddenly one person goes silent? They say nothing, yet everyone senses them. They speak just one sentence, and the entire room listens. That's not charisma. That's not luck. That's the power of silence. In a world obsessed with speaking louder, faster, and more often, the strongest people are the ones who choose their words like a sword, sharp, rare, and deliberate. The ancient Stoics knew this secret. They didn't chase attention. They commanded it through stillness, observation, and self-mastery. They understood that silence is not emptiness. It's discipline. It's presence. It's power. So if you're ready to stop reacting and start leading, to stop talking and start commanding respect without saying a word, then this video is for you. Because today I'm going to share 10 profound Stoic lessons that will help you master the art of silence and use it to gain clarity, composure, and true authority in every room you walk into. Stay until the end, because the last lesson might change the way you carry yourself forever. Now let's begin. Lesson 1. Mastering the mind is the beginning of true power. Before you can control anything in life, your reputation, your relationships, your career, you must first control the one thing that shapes everything, your mind. Most people go through life reacting to anger, reacting to fear, reacting to failure, reacting to others. Their emotions own them. Their thoughts lead them in circles. And so they wonder why peace, purpose, and power feel so far away. But the Stoics knew better. They knew that the mind is like a wild horse, powerful but dangerous if untamed. And if you don't train it, it will throw you into every storm life brings. Marcus Aurelius, one of the wisest emperors to ever live, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not just poetic, it's survival. Because in a chaotic world, where everything feels uncertain, the one thing you can control is how you think, how you choose to respond, how you filter your emotions, and how you guide your focus. And that's what separates the reactive from the powerful. It's not the loudest person in the room who has control. It's the one who doesn't flinch when tested. But let's be clear. Mental mastery isn't about pretending to feel nothing. It's not about denying emotion. It's about witnessing emotion and not becoming its slave. Anger shows up. You see it. You study it. You understand it. But you don't obey it. Fear creeps in. You acknowledge it, but you don't let it dictate your path. That's the essence of Stoic self-mastery, to lead your mind instead of being led by it. So how do you build this strength? 2 words, awareness and discipline. Awareness means stepping outside your thoughts and watching them like clouds passing by. When your mind spirals into doubt or rage, don't follow it. Pause, observe, ask, is this true? Is this helpful? Is this worth my peace? Discipline means not surrendering to every emotional impulse. It means choosing stillness when chaos calls. It means remembering that not everything deserves your reaction. If you want to own your life, you must first own your mind. Because the battlefield isn't out there. It's inside you. And the one who wins that battle wins everything. Lesson 2. The quiet voice holds the most power. In a room full of noise, the quietest person often holds the most weight. Think about it. Who do people remember more? The one who speaks constantly, or the one who waits, listens, and speaks only when it matters? In a world addicted to opinions, arguments, and endless noise, silence has become rare. And because it's rare, it's valuable. People often mistake silence for weakness. But the truth is, silence requires strength, the kind of strength that doesn't seek validation through words. The Stoics understood this. They knew that real power doesn't come from how much you say, but from the precision of what you say, and when you choose to say it. Socrates, one of the most respected minds in history, was revered not because he always had the loudest voice, but because he listened more than he spoke. He asked questions, he observed, and only when he fully understood did he respond. This isn't just good conversation, it's a blueprint for influence, because when you stay silent, truly silent, not out of fear, but out of composure, your words become rare, and what is rare is respected. People lean in when you speak, because they know you don't speak to fill silence. You speak to add value. But how do you apply this in real life? Start by shifting your focus from speaking to listening. Not just hearing words, but listening for emotion, intention, hesitation. Look at people. Notice their tone. Watch their body language. Ask yourself, what are they really saying? You'll begin to notice what others miss. And that insight will give you leverage, not to manipulate, but to understand and respond wisely. You'll start avoiding arguments, not because you're afraid of conflict, but because you no longer need to win every battle. You'll stop trying to prove yourself, because silence, paired with confidence, proves more than any speech ever could. So the next time you're in a conversation, try this. Say less, listen more, and let your presence do the talking. Because the most respected people aren't loud, they're calm, they're measured, and when they speak, the world listens. Lesson 3, observation is greater than reaction. Most people move through life on autopilot, reacting to everything that happens around them. Someone insults them, they lash out. Plans don't go their way, they panic. A challenge appears, they fold. But the Stoics taught a different way, a quieter way, a wiser way. Instead of reacting, they observed. Because when you're always reacting, you're not in control. The world is controlling you. But when you observe first, you take that power back. Observation gives you space. It gives you time to process before you decide what's worth your energy. And often you realize, most things aren't. Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of our time, once said, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." This isn't just about finance, it's about life. Impatient people react. Patient people observe, reflect, and then act with precision. Let's say you're in a meeting and someone challenges you aggressively. You could snap back, defend yourself, raise your voice. Or you could pause. You could study them, their tone, their motive, their insecurity, and respond in a way that shifts the entire dynamic. That pause, that stillness, that's the difference between being emotionally hijacked and being mentally unshakable. The power of observation allows you to see not just what's being said, but why it's being said. And when you understand the why, you stop taking things personally. You stop wasting energy on meaningless battles. You start responding with calm, measured confidence. So how can you train this skill? Start by delaying your response. Whenever something triggers you, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what's really happening here? Study the room. In conversations, meetings, or even conflicts, say less and watch more. People reveal everything if you're silent long enough. Reflect before you speak. Ask, will my words bring clarity or just more noise? Because in every interaction, you have a choice. React and be ruled by the moment, or observe and rule the moment. Those who master this don't just navigate life, they orchestrate it. Lesson 4. Patience is the silent armor of the strong. In a world that glorifies speed, loud opinions, and instant results, patience seems outdated, even weak. But the Stoics saw it differently. To them, patience wasn't weakness. It was discipline. It was strategy. It was a kind of inner armor, invisible yet impenetrable. Because here's the truth. Anyone can react. Anyone can shout. Anyone can rush. But it takes a composed and powerful mind to stay calm, to wait, to withhold response when every nerve in your body wants to explode. That's not passivity. That's power under control. Take Epictetus, for example. He was once a slave, brutally mistreated, even had his leg twisted until it broke. But even in that moment of cruelty, he didn't scream or curse or beg. He simply said, "You are breaking my leg." Calm, aware, unmoved. Why? Because he understood something we often forget. You can hurt the body, but you cannot touch the mind unless the mind allows it. That is the strength of patience. Patience protects your peace. It shields you from unnecessary conflict. It allows you to move through chaos like a mountain, still, grounded, and unshakable. You've probably noticed this in real life. The people who speak less, wait longer, and act more deliberately, they're the ones others respect. They don't need to prove anything. Their silence alone builds an aura of authority. So how do you become one of those people? Practice stillness. Not everything requires a response. Not every insult needs a reaction. Sometimes saying nothing says everything. Delay gratification. Train yourself to wait, to earn, to endure discomfort without falling apart. Whether it's building a career, a relationship, or your discipline, patience builds what shortcuts can't. Embrace silence during adversity. When things go wrong, stay composed. Let the world wonder what you're thinking. That mystery, that presence, that's what draws respect. Patience isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing the right thing, at the right time. And when you combine patience with silence, you become a force that no chaos can shake. Lesson 5. Mystery builds authority. Say less, mean more. There's something magnetic about people who don't speak much. You've seen them before. They enter a room quietly, no flashy words, no loud energy. Yet somehow, all eyes drift toward them. Why? Because mystery creates presence. And presence, when backed by self-control, becomes authority. When you constantly explain yourself, overshare your opinions, or try to prove your value through endless talking, you dilute your power. But when you speak only when necessary, when your words are measured, intentional, and rare, people lean in. They want to know what you're thinking. You build intrigue without saying a word. That's the psychology of mystery. What's hidden becomes valuable. What's uncommon becomes respected. Keanu Reeves is a modern-day example. He's not the loudest celebrity. He's not constantly in the headlines. But when he speaks, it matters. Not because of what he says, but how little he says. He listens. He observes. He lets silence do the talking. And that quiet energy, it draws people in. The Stoics believed in this deeply. Seneca once said, "Silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings." Because those who have lived through real storms don't waste their breath trying to impress others. They've seen enough to know. Words mean little. Actions and energy say everything. So how do you build this aura of quiet strength? Speak with intention. Before you say something, ask, does this need to be said? If not, stay silent. Let your body language, your calmness, and your discipline speak louder. Hold back some of your thoughts. Not everything needs to be revealed. A little restraint keeps others guessing, and guessing keeps them interested. Let your results do the talking. Don't tell people what you're planning. Show them when it's done. That's how respect is built without asking for it. When you speak too often, people stop listening. But when you speak less and mean more, your presence begins to speak for you. And that, right there, is a power louder than noise. Lesson 6. Calmness commands respect. Walk into any chaotic room, tempers flaring, egos clashing, tension thick in the air, and notice one thing. The person who stays calm instantly stands out. While others raise their voices, lose control, or scramble to dominate, the calm one, the composed one, becomes the center of gravity, not by force, but by presence. Calmness is misunderstood. It's not passivity. It's not indifference. It's control. the rare ability to own your emotions instead of being owned by them. In Stoic thinking, composure is strength. It means you're not a slave to impulse. It means your self-worth isn't tossed around by every insult or challenge. It means you choose your response every time. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are disturbed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That's real power. The ability to stay still inside, no matter what's collapsing outside. Look at Barack Obama during his presidency. He was constantly attacked, challenged, and under pressure. But never once did you see him lose his cool. His speeches were measured. His pauses were intentional. His tone always composed. Why did people respect him, even those who disagreed with him? Because calmness signals competence, and competence earns trust. So how can you develop this inner steadiness? Detach before reacting. When emotions rise, pause. Don't react, reflect. Ask yourself, is this really worth my energy? Practice deep breathing in stressful moments. Simple, but powerful. The breath is the bridge between your mind and your body. Control it, and you control both. Stand firm in silence. When someone tries to provoke you, resist the urge to retaliate. Let your silence be your strength. The less you react, the more power you hold. In a noisy world full of emotional outbursts, the person who remains calm becomes unforgettable. They walk into a storm and don't bend. And that stillness, it demands attention without ever asking for it. Lesson 7. Choose silence over conflict. Protect your energy. Every day, we're handed invitations to argue. A rude comment, a passive-aggressive remark, a heated opinion that feels like a challenge. And most people accept those invitations without hesitation, rushing to defend themselves, to be right, to win. But here's the hard truth the Stoics understood. Winning an argument doesn't mean you've won peace. Often you lose something far more valuable: your focus, your mood, your energy. You walk away from a verbal battle feeling drained, even if you won. The wise don't waste their breath proving a point. They don't fight battles that don't matter. They ask a deep question. What's the cost of engaging right now? Because not every fight is worth it, and not every critic deserves your attention. In ancient Japan, the samurai were feared not just for their skill, but for their restraint. They didn't draw their sword for petty insults. They acted only when it truly mattered. That's strength, not the ability to fight, but the wisdom to know when not to. The same principle applies in everyday life. Let's say someone tries to provoke you with a sarcastic comment. You could clap back, start a fire, or you could stay quiet, smile, move on. What happens next? They lose control. They wanted your reaction and didn't get it. You walk away with your dignity intact and your energy preserved. So how do you practice this kind of emotional discipline? Ask before you react. Is this argument going to change anything? Will I feel better or worse after responding? Most of the time, silence is the better answer. Let go of the need to prove yourself. You don't need to correct everyone. You don't need to win every debate. The truth doesn't become truer just because you say it louder. Protect your mental space like it's sacred, because it is. Arguments are energy thieves, and if you're always reacting, you'll never have the clarity to lead, create, or grow. Remember this. Silence doesn't mean you're afraid. It means you're free. Free from the pull of every ego-driven exchange. So next time someone tries to pull you into conflict, don't fight them. Outclass them with silence. Lesson 8. Lead with stillness. Let silence elevate your presence. Leadership isn't about talking the most. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room or having all the answers instantly. True leadership, it begins in silence. Because the strongest leaders don't dominate through noise, they lead through presence. The The Stoics believed that composure is one of the highest virtues a leader can possess, and silence, when rooted in awareness and intention, becomes a powerful tool of command. Take Tim Cook, CEO of Apple. Unlike his predecessor Steve Jobs, known for intensity and bold declarations, Cook leads differently. He listens more, he watches closely, and when he speaks, it's with purpose, not pressure. That contrast isn't weakness, it's strategy, and it works. People feel heard, decisions are more thoughtful, and his quiet demeanor becomes a symbol of certainty, not hesitation. The world is filled with people who speak just to fill the air, but the person who speaks less and listens more quickly rises as the one others trust to lead. Why? Because silence gives you clarity. Clarity gives you confidence. And confidence, when expressed calmly, creates respect. So how can you lead with silence, even if you're not in a leadership title yet? In conversations, speak last. Let others share. Let the room unfold. Then speak, with insight, not impulse. Your voice will carry more weight when it's not fighting for attention. Use silence to observe strengths and weaknesses. As a leader, whether at work, in family, or in life, the more you observe, the more you understand people. You'll know who's all talk and who delivers. Be the calm in the chaos. When emotions rise don't match the storm, be the stillness. That's when people look to you for direction, because your calm becomes their compass. Leadership doesn't mean always having something to say. It means knowing when to say it and when not to. Silence isn't absence, it's presence, refined. And those who master this presence are the ones others instinctively follow. Lesson 9. Silence is the space where you grow. In a world addicted to noise, podcasts, notifications, arguments, opinions, silence has become uncomfortable. Most people can't sit with it. They fear it. Because in silence, there's no distraction, only truth. And that truth, it can be confronting. But here's what the Stoics knew. Silence isn't emptiness. It's space for clarity, for self-awareness, for transformation. When you remove the noise, you finally hear what matters. Your thoughts, your values, your direction. Look at the most creative, focused, and visionary people in history. They all had one thing in common. They retreated into silence to sharpen their mind. Bill Gates famously takes think weeks, an entire week in solitude, away from tech and meetings, just to reflect, read, and think. No noise, no pressure, just intentional stillness. Why? Because that silence isn't wasted time. It's where breakthroughs happen. You don't need a cabin in the woods or $1 million business to do the same. What you need is the discipline to carve out space every single day, to disconnect from the external and reconnect with yourself. Because when you do, something incredible happens. You start to see patterns in your behavior. You start to notice what drains you and what energizes you. You start to realize what truly matters and what's just noise. So how can you harness this silent power? Create daily moments of solitude. Even 15 to 30 minutes of quiet time can change your entire mental state. No phone, no talking, just you, breathing, thinking, writing, reflecting. Journal your thoughts. Put your mind on paper. Let the silence help you process your emotions instead of letting them control you. Use silence to reconnect with your purpose, the goals you've buried under stress, the dreams you've shelved because of fear. In silence, they return, clearer, stronger, and more urgent than ever. Growth doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the dark, in the still, in the silent hours when no one's watching and you're brutally honest with yourself. That's where you evolve. That's where you sharpen your edge. That's where the real transformation begins. Lesson 10. Know when to break the silence. Silence is powerful, but there comes a moment, a rare, critical moment when silence becomes weakness if you hold it too long. Stoicism doesn't mean being quiet forever. It means knowing when to speak and when to stay still. Because when your words are chosen wisely and your timing is intentional, your voice becomes a weapon, not to wound, but to awaken. Imagine this: a room full of tension, people arguing, posturing, pretending. Then, one person speaks, just a sentence, simple, clear, precise, and suddenly, the whole atmosphere shifts. That's what happens when silence is used strategically, and speech is reserved for the exact moment it matters most. Think of history's great voices. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't shout for attention. He waited, he listened, and when he spoke, he dropped words so powerful they still echo across time. "I have a dream." That wasn't just a speech, it was a moment, created by discipline, timing, and presence. So how do you know when you should speak? When silence becomes complicity. If someone is being wronged, and your voice could make a difference, speak. That's not ego, that's courage. When your words can bring clarity or healing, speak not to be clever, but to be clear. Speak to bring light, not heat. When your principles are on the line, don't stay quiet just to be liked. Let your words reflect your values, not your fears. But always remember, the words you speak after a long silence carry the greatest weight. So don't waste them. Let your silence build pressure. Let your discipline build credibility. And when the time comes to speak, speak with the kind of power that cuts through the noise and lands like a thunderclap. Because a single, well-timed sentence from a person of presence can do more than hours of empty talking. You've now learned 10 timeless Stoic lessons about the power of silence. But this video isn't just about philosophy. It's about transformation. Master your mind. Lead with composure. Choose silence over noise until noise must be broken. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more clarity, more presence, more strength in silence. If this message spoke to you, don't just watch and move on. Practice it. Be the person who doesn't speak to prove themselves, but when they speak, the room listens. Share your story in the comments. Have you ever used silence as strength? If you found this video valuable, hit like, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more Stoic lessons to strengthen your mind and sharpen your presence.